Hey guys, this is for you, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising 2026 overview, big themes that you need to know about. This is your horoscope. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I am always using that Western tropical zodiac astrology. We're not using sidereal. And if you'd like to get more than just an overview with four major things to think about, I have a deeper dive, really comprehensive video for your sign, and you can get it in the description box below as part of my yearly fundraiser for scholarship funds and stuff. It's only $22 and it's got a PDF guidebook as well for the whole year written by me and the video or all signs bundle, which you get every single sign, listen for sun, moon, and rising, share with friends and family. Check it out below. It's still on the December sale price. I let that price roll through the month of January. Now, let me tell you about this sky this year ahead from the overview that we're going to do today, anywhere between 20 to 30 minutes in this little mini snippet for the year. We're heading into the storyline. And first of all, I really want you to know that your life will change. I think that I'm going to show you the thumbnail with the radical change story, like radical change, or I could call it electric change or exciting or exhilarating change. But let's use the word change. A lot of change coming up in the life of Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. Sun, career and purpose, moon, home, nest, and emotions, and rising, your simulation avatar, the character in the simulation, very sensitive to change. So we're going to take a look at this graphic that I created. I'd like you to screenshot it. Why would I do that? Why would you screenshot it? Because you can use it as a remembrance of some of the themes over the year. Put it on your phone or your device or whatever you want. Of course, I am sharing it with you. I will be sharing it. There we go. And here we are. Geminis, you got new money sources, you got career pivots, then boy, do you ever, you got radical change. That's everything, not just one area of life. Wholesale radical change, and foreign travel is one of the options here. There's more than foreign travel. I'll break it down into the other options under the same umbrella as we go through this half hour or so together. Now, if you haven't subscribed before and you might want to, or like this kind of content or hype it or something, that would be really appreciated. It does help the channel grow. And hopefully by now you've managed to grab a screenshot or something like that. So this is something you can use to remind yourself of the great stories that are coming through your sky in the year ahead. Now, I'm not going to spin the wheel for you. It's way too hard to do it that way. And there's a reason. It's because I can't do it without losing the essential time, losing it all. So we're not doing that today. You can't scan the whole year and rotate the wheel. So today I'm just talking to you, and I'm talking to you about the sky. And here's what we have. Lots going on. The big story of 2026 is Uranus moving full-time into your sign for 7 years. Yes, yes, yes. He tested the waters last year on July 7th to November 7th, and you got the Uranian impulse. Go back and ask yourself, so Gemini sun, career and purpose matters. Gemini moon, how you feel about life, and also things to do with where you live. And then Jupiter, Gemini rising, your character in the simulation, how you perceive yourself. Did you go get a tattoo? Did you get your hair cut into a mohawk? Did you go break outside the box of your way you look or act in the world? Maybe that's for the ascendant in Gemini. So you got this Uranian energy. It's literally only happens for 7 years, once every 84 years. So you coded for this at this time of your life. And it's going to disrupt. It's going to break up. Anything that's stagnant is going to bring you freedom and break free and break through energy. It's going to bring you some genius, inventive, and insights and divine downloads. Your pineal gland, your third eye, your psychic abilities are going to go on steroids. If it's your Gemini moon, your third eye is going to open wide up through emotional, empathetic intuition. If it's your Gemini sun, perhaps through your visual cortex, clairvoyance, and Gemini rising, take any of the clairs, audient, clairsentient, clairvoyant, claircognizant. You're just one big clair. So the clarity of the insight that comes through that tower-like aha, an epiphany, or divine pineal gland downloads is in your sky for 7 years. You got to talk to someone who's lived through it. Those are the Tauruses. Now, Tauruses are fixed signs, and they're like, but you're an air sign. You kind of go with the electric shocks of change. With Uranus here, if you go back to last year, July, August, September, and October, and ask yourself if you felt any different and how you felt different and what ways you felt different, because this is sort of coming back to now deepen in a little bit more, right? I have a progressed Gemini sun, and I remember that time for me as being recognizing that I needed to make some major life changes, like more than one in my career, and not doing anything about it yet, right? Just knowing that I had these insights about what needed to change, for example. Now, when Uranus is moving through your sign during the next 7 years, but you'll get the vibe this year, I want you to pay attention to July, because July is a pivotal month for you. That's because Uranus, as he moves through your sign, is going to also flow very tightly to Pluto in Aquarius in what we call a air trine. And that's going to open up massive doors of opportunity, because there's also a sextile to Saturn in the gains of the career, which is your 11th house, which can indicate new levels of authority and mastery in your career. They can talk about influence, international, book publishing, foreign lands, foreign travel, opportunities from foreigners, aligning with a spiritual teaching or knowledge that then you're going to have some authoritative mastery to share with the groups of people, the world, you know what I mean? Like influence groups of people. That's where Saturn is in your 11th house. And this combination, this mini grand trine, is very harmonious. And so I would say July, but go June, July, August, there's this kind of like everybody's vibing together. And this is a really good time to be innovative and to create something new when it comes to the themes of teaching and learning. Of course, you may be traveling. We'll get to that. Teaching and learning, maybe traveling, maybe communicating through publishing and podcasting, which is ninth house stories, and coming into more authority and audience influence, because not only is Saturn going to be in your 11th house of the groups of people that you engage with, your social networks, and also the gains of your career, but so is Neptune. And with Neptune and Saturn both there, Neptune lends itself to Hollywood and glamour and filmmaking and storytelling, but also any YouTube platform, Instagram platform, TikTok, anything with reels, anything with images, moving imagery, etc. Unfortunately, AI as well, but I don't think you guys will do AI really, because maybe you would, because Gemini, you could do AI, use more AI in your output to the world or what you do in your career. But there's something important to say about this energy. And we're going to talk about that as we move through this half hour. And just having this mini grand trine in July isn't the most important thing, right? And it's going to go into August. It's at the end of July, the North Node of Fate will collaborate with the ninth house. And that's going to intensify the word foreign and foreign lands and foreign people, or publishing, book publishing, and podcasting. So there's this whole shift, like a sea change for you. For some of you, it could be education. You might end up becoming a teacher or going back to school. Some of you might be traveling abroad and creating a career as you move around and take adventures and stuff like that. Because pilgrimages belong to the ninth house, where the North Node will be, particularly August and September would be really nice for you regarding the word pilgrimage or spiritual getaways or traveling for spiritual reasons. But it doesn't have to be that. And that foreign travel is very strong for you, because the North Node represents that which is foreign to us. And after the end of July, for about a year and a half, it's going to enter into that ninth house. I mean, of course, it's great. Like, I have a progression, my son. I want to write that book for my agent, Eileen. That's me getting the book done, right? But also, it's deeper than that. It's like purpose and dharma and destiny and worldly success, and reaching into the ninth house for that to happen. The house of God, the house of dharma, the house of significance and purpose. Well, at the same time, Pluto is there for the first time ever. And now that's power and wealth and transformation. Everything is at a new intensity. This is unlike anything you have seen before, ever. Now, some of you might be very basic, like you're working for a company and you have international reach. You're the sales director globally, and it's just going to increase your success in the capacity I just described. But if you're not like that, you're like me, then yeah, podcasting, publishing, online, social media, writing and teaching, and traveling are all this big story. You'll have to wait for the most yummy juice to really come by the end of July. You really want Jupiter at the end of June helping out from your third house, and the North Node at the end of July from your ninth house for this to really maximize itself. So sort of the first half of the year, just kind of keeping on. You might not make all of that many changes, and that would be just totally fine. There's no need to do everything all at once, in my humble opinion. Make the changes as you are ready to make the changes. Now, let's talk about another thing that I talked about in the slide. So what I was trying to say is radical change. That was the idea of Uranus doesn't play small. Uranus doesn't say, oh, how about a little bit of change? No, he's like kaboom, a tower, a lightning bolt, a thunderbolt. You get the vibe, right, Gemini? So those are the radical change areas. Now, and the foreign travel is embedded into what I said from that slide, but there are also career pivots and new money sources. So let's talk about the career pivots, and then we'll get to the exciting part of the money stuff. And I'll be drawing a couple of cards at the end of this reading, so stay tuned for that. In your sky, you are going to experience the energy of Saturn leaving your 10th house, where he was traveling since 2023 March. This is important because he can only go through here once every 30 years. Everywhere he goes, it takes 30 years to get back there. And so as he traveled through your 10th house, you might have been thinking in the last 3 years, I'm going to work really hard. I'm going to be persistent and disciplined, and I'm going to be successful in my career. Okay, that's the vibe. And to some degree, it's also tiring and it's hard work and is exhausting. And you're seen as an authority or an expert or a master at your career direction. I know a Gemini got up level to a high director level. I got more attention from you guys, and my channel thrived during that 23 to now time frame with my progressed Gemini sun. So that was the story. But what happens when Saturn leaves, which is it goes into the 11th house, which is the gains of the 10th, two things happen. One, you take a kind of decompression chamber away from the grind. All right, that's behind you. And now you're leaning more into what you desire. What do you really want to do in your career? What do you really desire to achieve in your career? And purpose and money-making endeavors. And the energy of attracting what you desire and choosing what you desire will be now highlighted, okay? Now you're going to be like on it, right? In fact, if you think back to April of 1996 to February of 1999, that was when Saturn went through your 10th house way back then. And I remember I was a progressed Gemini sun, still progressed back then. I'm working my ass off, being really successful on a BBC documentary and doing psychic readings and being on an NBC broadcast and getting famous and working hard or whatever, mini famous, writing, working, doing my thing, teaching, doing readings, different kinds of readings than these ones. Anyway, so that was really a career apex for me, April of 96 to 99. And then after that, I began to shift. I relaxed a little bit more into the work I already did. I wasn't striving. I wasn't grasping for success. I had a baby. I had to take care of her. It was a little more low key. And I began to ask myself, what do I really desire? And was really focused on a new direction if I could find one. So there's a kind of a timeout from the intensity of the hard work, but you're also going to look at the idea that you want to realign or choose again what it is you want to do. You might be looking for a new mountaintop to succeed at. In the meantime, Saturn brings you sustainable, reliable, repeatable gains financially from the thing you built for the 3 years behind you, right? He holds on to those gains. They don't go away. So, for example, in 99, the story ended and I had to do 3 years with Saturn in my 11th house from my sun in Gemini. I just continued to see the clients I'd built up, right? I was running on the momentum I'd already created. So consider those things as you move into this year. And I'm talking about the career pivots, just pivoting away from the intensity of the hard work and toward a more relaxed approach. And also understanding that you're also thinking under everything else, where am I going next? And you're good for teaching, traveling, being more dharmically aligned, writing, educating. These are themes that may open up for you with ease and grace, as well as a different way of reaching an audience and a marketplace, if that's something you do, or customer clients, as you find new ways to connect to other people at that time. So at this time, so it is coming through your sky when Saturn crosses into your 11th house on February the 13th, 14th, and doesn't leave until 2028. So you got a Saturn run ahead of you to play with. All right. Now, he will be retrograding in July, okay, through to December. So in July to December, in your 11th house of career gains, it's not a good idea to start something brand new. I would not launch something you've never done before. I would not try your darndest to go in a bold new career earnings direction July the 26th to about December 10th at the end of this year, because Saturn retrograde doesn't bring that. Things get easier, sure, but he doesn't help you move into new territory with, finesse, right? That's not the story. Don't be impatient. Because Saturn is in a sign of youth and he's an old man. There's no meshing there. So there may be a little frustration or impatience at the pace of discovering what it is you want and desire, and taking your time to lay low and not worry about it. Like, what you want and desire next will come to you. All right. So we move forward. And just so you know, it can take you back to school to educate, because I remember like when this happened way back when. So like really it was like 99, 2000, 2001 into early 2002, maybe. When that all occurred, I ended up going back to school. Right. So I went to educate in psychology. So there's something about also this will pull on the two educational houses and ask you, do you want to school yourself again? Is there something you need to learn? You may not know what it is until 3 years later, but we're definitely pondering that. All right. So we talked about the career pivots, the radical change in the foreign travel. Let's talk about new money sources. Where can you get new money sources? That's the question everybody wants to know. Money is everyone's priority these days. Well, new money sources have a possible way of coming in chunks. I call it my chunky money house. Your house is the 8th house, which is also called the house of death. And that's why it also connects to inheritances. And you're going to have a triple conjunction in such a way, Mars, Sun, and Venus, in January, early January, that hasn't occurred in the same way since. You can just go back to 1994. Let's say January of 1994. Let's keep it simple. And this conjunction series leads to a 2-year story unfolding, not like a day in the life of. So therefore, you can go all of 94 and all of 95. What kinds of new monetary sources may have occurred in your life, the way they may also occur this time around. And it can be severance packages, sign-on bonuses, inheritances, insurance payouts, spousal support, separation agreements, investment monies in the markets taking off. All of those are possibly true. Again, if you want to go back to remembering your life in 94 and 1995, you may be able to sort of come to a understanding of what was changing in that part of your sky. Now, the 8th house is also occult mysteries and magic and stuff like that, and the supernatural and the paranormal and the psychological, and also the spiritual liberation from the egoic consciousness. And all of those things are on the menu for the next 2 years. But the turning point begins in January, and Mars will be visible in mid-March. Venus will be visible again in the sky in mid-February. There will be a delay in showing you where this is taking you, right? But it is going to pivot or turn or shift the wheel of your money. And it's going to be an interesting time because that triple conjunction, well, it occurs in January and unrolls over maybe 2 years, is also accompanied by Jupiter witnessing it from your 2nd house. What is your 2nd house? Your possessions, your money, your car, your home, your finances, your pocketbook, your savings, your wallet. Jupiter exalted, blessing you, retrograde from the past. It can be karmic. It can just be money that you're due to receive from the past is coming to you, but it will bless you financially as new sources of money that we'll call unearned income and shared resources want to make their way towards you some way, somehow. Now, there's so many ways it could go. An ex-spouse could owe you money and pay you back because there's a retrograde Jupiter in a house that connects to money and is ruler of the marriage house, but retrograde means a spouse from the past. There's a possibility that you might also just have some kind of energy around making some kind of royalty income, ad income, that in a new way, right? New sources of that kind of money that you haven't entertained before. For example, I'm going to start running YouTube ads. I've never done that before. I pay for the ad, someone sees it, they buy a product. Okay. So there will be a new source of ad revenue. Why is it ad revenue? Eighth house, Google AdSense, for example. You share the money with Google. And so there's new sources of chunky money while you're sleeping, and you share it with someone else, like royalty income that can come your way. That includes book publishing royalty as well. So this is a story that's going to take 2 years to fully flesh out. You'll see evidence for it by the time we get to mid-March, when Mars and Venus are both visible planets in the sky. Venus will be an evening star. She's very soft and demure and gentle, bringing you what you want. Now, one thing I want to mention is all of that energy that I just described about resetting the eighth house. It could also be a windfall. Okay. So there's always a possible that sometimes this just shows up as an unexpected discharge of luck and in comes some money that you didn't expect. Now, that's not necessarily a guarantee, but it doesn't have to be inheritances, for example, or royalty income. Because Venus is the ruler of your house of good fortune and winning money, your lottery house. And definitely, if you think that might be a possibility, there's a lot of luck for you around potentially winning money in the month of July and August. I'm just going to say. So if you want to, engage in a lottery or go to the casino, July, particularly August, if you really want to be particular, I'd say like almost all of August is extremely lucky that way. All right. So next, I want to draw your attention to lastly, but not leastly, and we'll draw some cards. I want you to think about the nodal shift into Aquarius. You've been going through a North Node amplification of worldly success with Saturn in your 10th house since 2023 for more worldly success and amplitude there. And now that's done. The North Node and South Node move retrograde. So now the North Node is moving out of your 10th house and into your 9th house. This is going to open up doors for you as of July the 30th or so, at 18 months. Of worldly success in traveling, teaching, learning, so higher education, court and legal battles, matters connected to publishing and podcasting, and more importantly, being deeply on purpose, finding that alignment with one's dharma in a destined way. At the same time, the South Node will begin to move at the end of July through your 3rd house to release and surrender the local neighborhood, a sibling relationship, a writing project, something you're doing in social media in the online world, release and surrender a locale for sure. You could change your home here. And there's something about that that's really evocative as well, because Jupiter will also join the South Node. So Jupiter and the South Node are together in that sign as of the end of July. And you're going to have a lot of luck when it comes to location, neighborhood, city, town, the environment that you go to daily. And Jupiter expands it, more prosperous, more wealthy, more joyful, more fun. Same thing goes for social media work. You're going to do better. You're going to have more fun. You're going to make more money. You're going to be more wealthy. But the South Node has to pull away something. It's like you have to empty the drain so that you can fill the sink with something new that's much more luscious. So there will be a letting go and a releasing here of something that you've already done, and it's time to no longer do it. I probably should be saying I'm not seeing clients. I'm opening my calendar up for my Patreon community in February, but that would be like client work for me. So I don't know if I'll have time to do much client work because I'm writing my book for my agent, etc. But we'll see. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that with Jupiter and the South Node in your 3rd house, it's possible you're going to have some really big luck through your siblings, okay? Like your siblings bring you luck or your neighbors bring you good luck. So it's kind of a fun placement. I like that a lot, where lucky things happen with people around you or people you've known since you were young, etc. All right, so now what we're going to do, I think I turned that stupid thing off. I don't know who's calling me. We're going to draw some cards for you, and we're going to talk about, you could go on pilgrimages as well. North Node is usually, worldly success. North Node is usually about worldly success, but Jupiter is witnessing, the guru is witnessing from the 3rd house. And a lot of you might, as I said, go to school. If you're not teaching, you might be learning. There's a lot of desire to learn under this kind of sky and the second half of the year, or to teach. Some of us are instructors or teachers. So either one will be yay you. Let's go ahead and draw a card from Carolyn Mrs. deck. I have to put it on the rug, guys, because I really can't. There's no other way. I'm going to keep it. Matches my outfit. The Destroyer. You are releasing what is potentially destructive and preparing for a new life. Oh, I told you it was radical change. and there's a volcano. And I told you Uranus in your sign is like a lightning strike. And in the shadow, you are intoxicated with destructive power, destroying others' dreams or potential. That's very Darth Vader. Well, that's not us, is it? No. We are like a volcano erupting. We have lightning strikes that are changing our life. We're releasing what is potentially destructive and preparing for a new life. Holy mon. Liking it. And then a card from my little Awakened Dreamer Oracle deck that I created. All signs were getting different cards. I was all over the map. I'm going in retrograde order. I started with Pisces. So you guys are getting a card deck that some other signs didn't get. I made this Awakened Dreamer Oracle way back in the day. And I'm finding that this is my thing. Okay. So I got a card two cards came out. I'll give you both. Nature magic. Well, Jupiter's expanding the local environment, right? He's giving you some luck down there, and South Node means letting go maybe where you live, maybe spend time in nature, find ways, maybe move to a place that's closer to nature. Maybe I can move out of a high rise. You get the idea. And I got feminine rising. That's an irony because Venus will be rising from the sun's beams, right? In this story. So there's a Venus rising story, but it's in your 7th house where the sun sets. Okay. So what part of your life needs to honor the feminine? It doesn't have to be that if you're a guy, which none of my followers are, it's your feminine essence. It's not you're not a woman. It's your feminine essence. So open up the receptivity, open up the intuition, open up the divine creatrix inside of you, open up the feminine that can rise within you. I hope that's useful. The feminine is a very receptive, creative, co-creative, and procreative energy. Wish you guys the very best in 2026. And don't forget Substack in my links below. You can join me for free there. It's my weekly newsletter and more. I am publishing content that will get me unplugged and demonetized here. I am also on Patreon, where you can get lots of contact with me as I teach courses and provide all my YouTube videos early access ad-free, no ads, and you get them before the public. And you can join me on this platform on the join button. Check it out, because that's where I'm doing some live streams and putting out teaching content and some controversial material again that I can't do videos on anymore on YouTube without being demonetized and eventually deplatformed. They've gotten very strict now. I'll have to do a video on that. All right. Bye guys. Have a great 2026.